So my name is Miguel Bordallo Lopez, and I work as associate professor at the University of Oulu and a senior scientist at VTT. And this is a little bit of a personal story on how I arrived to Oulu and somehow learned to love it and decided to stay forever. So first of all, a little background about me, so you know who I am. I came from Spain as an Erasmus student in 2005 already, and I never left. I got all my degrees in Oulu. That means my master degrees and my PhD degrees and docentship. And I have worked mostly at the University of Oulu, but also at VTT and in a couple of private companies. I've been collaborating with many institutions in Pohjois-Pohjanmaa, like the hospital and other private big and small companies, or the city of Oulu. Since my family-in-law is from Ilivieska, I'm a regular visitor there, and I have traveled around Pohjois-Pohjanmaa quite a lot. So the main point is, during all these years, I think I have seen Oulu develop as an international region. So I didn't decide to come to Oulu one day at home and say, this is where I want to move. Of course, everyone needs a spark that starts it all. For some people, is the music here, is that they want to see a cold weather. For me, everything started in 2001 when I was visiting southern Finland, indeed. And then I could have an understanding on how the people in Finland was living, especially young people and students, and I liked it a lot. When I think about the motivations that I have to come to Oulu, one of it was that I wanted to go abroad and learn about other cultures. And then because I have visited Finland and I liked it a lot, that was the country that I chose. I was very interested in being in a technology-forward place that could offer opportunities in the field of technology. And even if I was in Helsinki first, I didn't want to be in a city that big, but I wanted to be in a more livable city, like smaller, but still interesting. The main point was to improve my education and employability, and of course, to experience new things. But the main point of this is that none of my motivations were specifically related to Oulu. They were quite specific, so somehow I didn't choose Oulu, but it was Oulu that chose me when it was offering me an opportunity. And I think this is crucial for us to understand. Because when we arrived to Oulu, and I arrived already in 2005, nothing is known. So the unknown is ahead of you. Everything is new, everything is exciting, everything is funny, everything is good. So you can see here, for example, that I moved to a very small apartment with some Finns and other international people living around. I started being interested in some things that the Finns were, like trying to watch some hockey games. I was trying some things that nobody in Finland was tried before, like playing football in a frozen lake with the risk of falling down. And of course, I was in many parties, knowing a lot of people, and I cannot remember it all. But when I think of when I arrived to Finland, there are some challenges of being a rookie here, which are quite common to everyone. First of all, nothing is obvious or automatic anymore. You are completely out of your comfort zone all the time. Before arriving, most of the times you are a somehow independent person, but when you arrive here, now suddenly you start needing help for everything. Nothing is known. And then the bureaucracy, when you arrive to a new city like this, it can be swamping. Because most of these things that the Finns or the inhabitants of Oulu have done during their whole life, you have to do them in a few months. Even if the people is very willing to accept you, there is some small lack of social support because no one knows that you are new. So everyone assumes that you know already everything. And the language barrier is very hard. And that is, I insist on this, the language barrier is very, very hard. Even for us that have been here many, many years, we are still not comfortable speaking Finnish properly. So although moving to Oulu was extremely exciting, and I enjoyed it a lot, it is no walk in the park, and it presents some challenges. Later on, I was offered a job by the university, and then my status changed from a student to employee. That was a total change of mindset. For a moment, I was not just visiting Finland for a while, but I was going to be here for an undetermined period of time. So when I joined the university, they offered me a very interesting job that was a few months trying to do some panorama imaging. You can see here one of the images in the winter where I started. The autumn after that, where I thought that I would be already long gone, I was still taking the same panorama images and presenting my job. So the life as an employee was already different as it was as a student or as a visitor. While I was working at the university, I understood that there are some fields of education that give more opportunities to everyone in general, but mostly to foreigners or international people. That's the fact, for example, of ICT, where embedded wireless and AI they are always looking for new people, or biochemistry. I also understood that communication and transferable skills were most likely more important than the knowledge that you have before. And also, I suddenly realized that it doesn't matter how hard I tried. I was never going to be a native. I was never going to be able to match the knowledge and the understanding of the culture that a Finnish person has. But on the other hand, I could bring some multicultural thinking and some new point of views and ways of doing that the people started to understand that they were valuable. So I could say that it has to be understood that we have a different set of skills than the people that is living in Oulu. And people can make use of that. A little later, in 2009, I was offered a part-time job outside the university in a company that didn't have any other foreigner working there. It was very interesting for me, but then suddenly I was outside of the international community bubble. All the coffee breaks started to be in Finnish, all the lunch breaks as well. The way of working wasn't international anymore. And then I started understanding what was to be part of a Finnish society without being part of the international community as well. When this thing happens, I think most of the international people hit something that I call the rookie wall. This is an expression related to basketball that says that after some period of time, something hits you, and then your understanding of things is totally different. So the main point is that nothing was new anymore. So nothing was as exciting, but everything was still very difficult because you are still not used to everything. And also that the main motivations are fulfilled. I came here to learn some English, to be more employable, to learn some stuff. I did it already. And at the same time, some other opportunities appear. Some people ask you to move to a different city, to go back to home, to move to a different country. And the point that I want to make here is that making people come to Oulu is easier, but making them stay forever is much harder. So if you are able to hit this rookie wall and then you think that Oulu is a city for you, like I thought myself, well, you have a period where you are basically trying to settle down. So nothing is provisional anymore, and then you start taking decisions that are for a longer period. So of course, I was still working a lot, but I started spending some holidays in Oulu. I spent Christmas, I spent Easter. I was asking my family in Spain to actually come to visit me because I wasn't able to go back to Spain that often, and they were starting to understand where I was living and that this was going to be a little more permanent, and I even dared to buy a house. So what I mean is that when we stay here, we stay for the job, but we also stay for the friends and the family and the relations that we can make here. And to settle this relationship is very important to be able to make a trustable contact network. The Northern Ostrobothnia system is a system that is based on trust. So the people usually want to trust that the others are going to do the right thing. And for that, many times, being motivated is much more important than being skillful. So in Oulu, people like that you actually want to do something. And if you want to do it and you are willing to take the responsibility, usually people can trust you and actually let you do that stuff. And some of the things, most of the best things in the Oulu region are not announced anywhere. So you learn about them through a network of contacts. So while we are settling down here, we need some support network, but we also need to understand that the people that we are making contacts with are going to stay here with us for the long run. After you settle down, there can be a somehow long period of time that can last forever, which is more stable, where you just start enjoying the life in Oulu, and you are already an inhabitant of here with no reason to live or to go anywhere, and you start enjoying what I call the boring life. The boring life in Oulu has nothing about boring on this period. I was in a few parties, I was able to present at Slash, and I even appeared in Kaleva like any Oulu inhabitant that is somehow known. I also dared to start a family here, and understood that my family was going to be from Oulu and not from my home country anymore, and I dared to buy more stuff that I could possibly need. So on this period, you start understanding that living in Oulu is something that you have decided to do somehow forever. And that means that you try to walk a fine line where you try to integrate in the Pohjois-Pohjanmaa society and try to be one person of Oulu, but you don't want to lose your own identity. So there are some things that you have to understand that in Oulu they will never change, and this is the identity of the city and the identity of the region. Some other things, you will have the feeling that they never change, like internationalization. It happens at a very slow pace, but if you see from 15 years how far we have come ahead, you can see that they change very, very slow, but also that you have the opportunity of actually affecting that change yourself. For this, we need support from the society, but we also need to do some long-term planning and integration and understanding that we are here for the long game. After you are here settled down and you have been living a stable period, well, at some point you stop being stressed too much, and then you really want a little bit more stress, so you start improving or moving and trying to start some other things. Like, for example, for me, it was a chase for professional growth where I decided to move to VTT for a while, and then I came back to the university to start my own research group. So the main point is that even if somebody's here for the long run, I think no one really stops moving, and the chances of growth and improvement have to be continuous. What did I do with this period of time? Well, now I try to focus into helping others settle down and go the road that I have gone. And I have understood from talking with people that is arriving now that to settle down, the international people need especially positive examples and leaders. They need to, when they arrive to Oulu, to feel other people that is like them, that have achieved some of these things that they wanted to achieve in the long term, so they understand that this is possible. They also need time for adaptation. It is impossible to bring somebody from outside and think that they are going to perform perfectly at the beginning. And also, they need realistic expectations. So somebody needs to be said that they need to understand that not everything is going to be smooth all the time. We should provide them with opportunities to grow so they can be the best selves, but especially all the opportunities that we give them, they have to be long-term opportunities that make them believe that we are not here just for a small period of time, but actually that they can settle here. And this means for them, and many of the times also for their loved ones. So I think it's our responsibility as foreigners that came some time before and as a society to try to keep the ball rolling. And now just to finalize it a bit, there's one thing that is important that I learned on the way. And it is that I love Oulu, and I really like the region. But sometimes I understood that I might be loving Oulu for what some people consider are the wrong reasons. So during the time, some people told me that when I arrived to Oulu, I will enjoy very much the countryside and the nature. But actually, what I actually enjoyed was the small cities and villages and museums that you can visit around. The people told me that outside the sports are incredibly good and you can be one with the nature and do sports outside all the time. But what I actually enjoyed was that indoor sports were all around and they were reasonably affordable, and I could go to play basketball 3 times a week and always find people to do it. People told me that it's very good to use a bicycle the whole year. And it is true, but what I actually enjoyed very much is that there's very easy parking and there is no traffic, so you can go with a car in 5 minutes and actually arrive in 5 minutes. People told me that I needed to enjoy my job as an important part of my life, and of course I enjoy my job. But the thing that I like more is that I can have a good balance between job and leisure, and actually enjoy my time outside of work. People told me that I have to settle with things like amupurro, which is very hearty and good for you in the morning, but I still enjoy much more coffee and pulla. And finally, people said that sauna is one of the best things in Finland. And well, that one they were right. It was actually one of my favorite things. This is a picture of my first sauna ever in 2001, and I have still enjoyed it very much. So what I wanted to say from here is that there are many aspects in Oulu, and we market many of them to the foreigners, but we don't know what they are going to like. There are many aspects of Oulu, and they like different things, and all of them are valid. So to summarize, I could say that the Oulu region is full of challenges for the international community, but it is absolutely possible to have a fulfilling professional and personal life and to be very, very happy here for the international community. So thank you very much for inviting me. It was a pleasure to tell a little bit of my story.